Nice. All right. Sweet. I only have one shiny left to get to finish my shiny living dex. Cool. All right. Now, I never looked it up. I wonder how you actually get it shiny. Okay. So you have to. All right, and then you have to. Oh wow, and then. Okay, and then you have to. No, this can't be right. And then you have to. And that's all for one encounter. And then you have to do it again. Oh my god! No! No, not doing it. Fuck it. What's going on, everyone? My name's Patterrz and welcome to the top 10 most difficult or hardest shinies to find in the Pokemon series. Now, I have been shiny hunting for a good while now. I've been fully fledged in it for at least a year, and I'd like to say that, I've collected a good amount of them. Eventually, one day, I'd like to have the entire Pokedex filled with shinies, but that's a far-off dream. Because there are a lot of very, very difficult shinies to find. Some a lot more difficult than your average walk in the grass or a soft reset a legendary for a few weeks. There are some Pokemon that are almost impossible to find as shiny, but are still technically available, and we're gonna go through those today. The top 10 most difficult shinies to find. Now, some will be excluded from this, some silly ones might be included. This list is mainly to have fun. If you're a shiny hunter yourself, you can tell me what your favorite or your longest hunts were in the comments section below. I'd love to hear about it. So, without further ado, let's get into the list. So first up on today's list, we have Gus Lord. Now, Gus Lord is somewhat of an honorable mention due to having the better odds to find a shiny that we had in Generation 6 and 7, but Gus Lord is still a pretty difficult one to come across. See, what we need to do is we need to play the Ultra Wormhole game in Ultra Sun and Moon, and Gus Lord is the rarest Ultra Beast to find. So what you're going to be looking for is the legendary wormholes as you're traversing Ultra Space, which is already pretty hard to find. You want to find a legendary wormhole, a legendary white wormhole, which could potentially have the chance of housing a Guzzlord, or it could potentially be any other Ultra Beast. There is more of a chance that you'll get a Guzzlord in a legendary wormhole. You can also potentially get one in some of the lesser rarity wormholes, but the chances are a lot lower. So, once you've found your Guzzlord, you've entered Guzzlord World, you have a long cutscene to deal with as well. But, have no fear, you can get rid of that cutscene by battling the Guzzlord, leaving the wormhole, and then we have to do is you have to find the wormhole again. So back through Ultra Space you go. You have to be good at the game, and I'm sure you guys are very good at the Ultra Wormhole minigame by now. You have to try and find yourself another legendary white wormhole, or if you get lucky, I suppose, a rare wormhole, and then hope that that is a Guzzlord again, so you can actually start the shiny hunt for it. I would recommend, if you're gonna go for this thing, use the shiny charm, because once you've done all that, you put in all that work, you're gonna want to spend as little time actually hunting for the Guzzlord as possible after doing all this nonsense. Up next is the starter Pokemon. Now, I'm not talking about just getting a general starter Pokemon. I know you can Masuda them. I know you can find them in the Friend Safari and X and Y. I'm just talking about soft resetting for a starter Pokemon that you can really begin your journey with. Now, no matter what generation you try to hunt for your starter in, it's gonna be difficult. If you try to do it in Soul Silver and Heart Gold, you gotta contend with the 1 in 8,000 chances to get a shiny. So you're thinking, okay, maybe I'll do it in Generation 6 or 7. Now, in Generation 6, it's not as bad, but you do have a really long cutscene to contend with, about 2 minutes long. And in Generation 7, that's where things really get difficult. That's when things really get excruciating there. You have to contend with a upwards of 3 minutes cutscene just to see if the one Pokemon that you chose is shiny. I have a lot of friends who stream on Twitch who have been searching for a shiny starter, Gen 7 starters, for over a year and haven't found anything. And just because of the length of the cutscene that you have to go through to find your starter, it's almost not worth doing. But when you really want to get something, you're gonna try your best. Now, granted, in Ultra Sun and Moon, the starter cutscene has been cut down a bit, but it's still around 1.5 to 2 minutes long, which for a soft reset is fairly lengthy. Now this one is more of a joke pick because I really don't expect anyone to actually go and do this, but unknown is number 8. And when I say unknown, I don't just mean one unknown form because, you know, that would just be easy. You know, just find one unknown, just run around in the grass for a while in Mirage Cave, you know, you're good. What I'm talking about is finding specific letters of unknown. For example, if you wanted to spell out your own name with shiny unknown, what would you have to do? You'd have to run around in the grass and just hope and pray that after your hours and hours and hours of hunting, that the unknown that popped up, that shines, was one that you could actually fit in your name. And it becomes even harder and more difficult as you collect them. Like if I wanted to spell out my name, Daniel, I'd have to find D-A-N-I-E-L. That's 6, right? And every time I found a shiny, I'd have to say, first off, is it in my name? And secondly, is it a letter that I already have, or isn't it? Basically, this is a joke pick, you know? No one's gonna sit here and search for all of the different forms of shiny unknown, unless you really, really like wasting your own time. But anyway, it is here nonetheless. And, you know, maybe one day it could be cool to spell out something with shiny unknown that you got yourself. That would be something to be proud of, I have to say. Up next is the Safari Zone shinies. Now, first off, you know, personally as a shiny hunter, I can't imagine why anyone would want to shiny hunt in the Safari Zone, given that there's such a high chance that the Pokemon will just run away and you'll never see them again. And given that you can shiny hunt Pokemon in other ways, but some people really like to test their own luck. I'm talking mainly about the high capture rate Pokemon in the Safari Zone and the low encounter rate ones. Like, I believe Chansey is the hardest one to get. So first off, you have to go into the Safari Zone. Secondly, you gotta find a shiny, which is 1 in 8,000 chance if you're playing Gen 3. Nextly, you gotta hope that it is Chansey that you found shiny, which again is a high or a low encounter rate, so you're probably not gonna see one very often to begin with. Then you have to really hope and pray that you can capture it, because in about 2 turns, that Chansey is gonna run away. So you better hope that the 1 or the 2 Safari Balls that you can throw are really, really lucky Safari Balls or like Master Balls in disguise, because if not, you're gonna lose your Chansey, and all those resets you did and all those random encounters you did is all gonna be going to waste, as you're gonna have to try and find another one. Now, when we talk about hard to find shinies, it's always the gender exclusive Pokemon, the evolutions that kind of pop up is more difficult to find than usual, because, you know, you have things like Gallade, you have things like Frostlass, where when you catch the pre-evolution, you have to hope that it's the right gender, but most of those Pokemon have a 50-50 chance of being the right one, so it's a coin flip. It's not that big of a deal. You'll get it eventually after a few tries. But Combee is the worst of the lot. Or Vespiquen, rather, because Combee has a 12.5% chance to be female. Now, that means almost 9 times out of 10, when you get a Combee, it's going to be male. So first off, you have to deal with the absolute horror of finding a shiny Combee, which is difficult enough already. And after that, you just have to hope and pray that you got the 1 out of 10 chance that the Combee you found is female, which means this thing is an absolute nightmare to hunt for. Now, I like Vespiquen and all, but I think that's just a little bit too difficult for me. Next up is the Pokemon that you have to breed for in Generation 2. Now, I'm not talking about the Odd Egg. Now, the Odd Egg is a special exception that has a higher chance to be shiny. I think about 14% to be shiny Pokemon when you hatch the Odd Egg. I'm talking about you just leave like an Electabuzz in the daycare with a Ditto, for example, and you want to try and just breed and try and get a shiny Pokemon. So you have to essentially go back and accept the eggs, which I believe is the slowest way of gathering eggs in any Pokemon game is Generation 2. You go and accept the eggs, and you have the normal 1 in 8,192 chance to find a shiny Pokemon. And there is no way to speed up the speed of your egg hatches. So every egg hatch of a baby Pokemon like Electakid, I believe is around 5 minutes of your time. So it's about 5 minutes per encounter. And after that, you're just gonna have to figure out what to do with all of the Pokemon that you have left over that aren't shiny. You could go release them, but again, that takes a long time on those games, because in Crystal, in Gold, in Silver, they have that weird box system that they used to have before they upgraded it in Generation 3, which makes Generation 2 really the most annoying and most difficult Pokemon game to breed for a shiny in. Now we're starting to get into the more annoying hunts. I'm talking about Celebi in Pokemon Crystal right now. Now, thanks to the Virtual Console release, we have a way to get a shiny Celebi. Now, the method that you use to actually get to Celebi is a little bit annoying if you just bought the game. So the first thing you have to do if you really want to get a shiny Celebi is you have to play through Crystal. You have to play through Crystal up until Elite Four. You have to beat the Elite Four and Lance. And after that, you need to go to Goldenrod City to pick up your GS ball because the event for that is in the game. Now, once you have your GS ball, you take it to Kurt, you give it to him, and then you have to wait until after midnight. After midnight, you go back, talk to Kurt again, pick up your GS ball, and you head to the Alex Forest, and then you can encounter your Celebi. Now, after you can start encountering your Celebi, it's a soft reset game, but it's the 1 in 8,192 chance that we're all familiar with, so it's also really, really hard to encounter Celebi. Now, fortunately enough, I believe that Celebi has a higher catch rate than the usual legendaries, so you don't really have to deal with that kind of nonsense when you actually find it. I mean, I would recommend using a Master Ball and a shiny Celebi myself. Just don't mess up the capture once you finally get to it, because you have to put in a lot of work to get there in the first place. Now, as we get into the top 3, these Pokemon are all absolute nightmares to find, but at number 3, we have the Japanese Emerald event Mew. Now, this event was only available in Japan, so most likely if you want to hunt for it now, you're gonna have to action replay in the event, or if you're a super hardcore legitimate shiny hunter, you can try and find yourself one on eBay that has the exact event, a Japanese copy that you're able to get to Faraway Island on. Now, the reason this is so hard to find a shiny is that the shiny frames in Emerald are all messed up, so it's not something that you can just soft reset for. So once you get to the Faraway Island, you have to save outside of the forest area that you find Mew in, and you have to go through the whole mini game of actually tracking down the Mew and finding it, only to encounter it, see if it's shiny or not with the very... I'm not exactly sure how the shiny frames work, but with some messed up shiny frames, you have a very, very, very low chance in getting it shiny. If it's not shiny, you have to run outside of the forest again, and then you have to go back in the forest, go through the minigame with Mew again, and try and get that very, very low chance of finding a shiny Mew. This thing is an absolute nightmare, dude. If you're gonna go for a shiny Mew, you are much braver than I am. Now, as we get into the top 2, I couldn't really decide between number 1 and 2 which one was more difficult, so I'll just kind of combine this as they're just as difficult as each other. But number 2 is the shiny Wishmaker Jirachi that you get with the bonus disc from Pokemon Colosseum. Now, this thing is an absolute process to try and hunt for. And SCF3 made a very good video on the process that I will link in the description, but basically this is how it goes. You need a Ruby and Sapphire game available to you. You also need a link cable, a GameCube, and the Pokemon Colosseum with the Wishmaker Jirachi bonus disc. Have you got all that? Alright, good. Here's the process. So you need to restart your Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire game. You need to play up to the part where you get your Pokedex. You need to link your GameCube up and your Game Boy Advance and do the whole process of transferring your Jirachi over to your Ruby and Sapphire copy. After that, you get it in your team, so you go back onto your Ruby and Sapphire. You check your team. Is it shiny? Most likely not, because it's a 1 in 8,192 chance. And then you do the entire process again, deleting your save file and going through the whole thing again. This entire thing takes maybe about 10 minutes per reset, making it one of the most difficult, most excruciating, and longest hunts you could possibly partake in a Pokemon game. And at number 1, I'm sure you guys all saw this coming if you've seen difficult shiny hunts before, but shiny Manaphy is by far and away the most difficult shiny to find. I was contemplating between this and Jirachi, and honestly, they're both pretty difficult considering what you need to have and what you need to do. But shiny Manaphy is in a league of its own, essentially. So what you need to do to get shiny Manaphy is you need a Pokemon of the... You need a copy of the Pokemon Ranger game that has the Manaphy egg in it. Now, the way this works is you can only get 1 Manaphy egg per copy. It doesn't matter if you reset the game and play through it again, you can only get 1 Manaphy egg per copy of the game. Now, a potential way to do this would be to buy thousands of copies of Pokemon Ranger, but that would just be kind of silly, to be honest, when you could just do something else. So first thing you need to do is beat the game to get your Manaphy egg. It's 1 per game, like I said. And then you need to transfer it to potentially like a Pokemon Platinum or something like that. Then you need to save your game, and you have to have 2 Pokemon Platinums at the very least to do this. Save your game and hatch the egg. Is it shiny? Well, it's probably not, because it has the 8,000 chance to be shiny, or the 1 in 8,000 chance to be shiny. And if it isn't shiny, what you have to do is you have to reload to when you still have the egg. You need to start a new game on one of your other Pokemon Platinum games. Play up to where you can transfer, or play up to where you can trade. Transfer the egg to that game, and then see if it's shiny on that. Make sure you save before you hatch the egg, though. And if it's not, again, you have to reload your game till before you hatch the egg. You have to start a new game on another Pokemon Platinum copy. Transfer over to that because of the way that the trainer values work in Pokemon Platinum and the way that it works with the shiny Manaphy. You have to have a very specific trainer value, a very specific personality. It's a lot of values that go into this that make things really, really difficult and awkward. And again, you have to restart the game, transfer it over, save, hatch it, reset, start a new game on a different Pokemon Platinum copy, play it up and see where you can trade, transfer it over, save, hatch it, and it's just really an excruciatingly long process. And honestly, I don't even know why you do it. Shiny Manaphy doesn't even look good. Why would you waste all this time on a Pokemon that doesn't even look good, dude? I don't know. Hopefully there's a way that we can get an easier shiny Manaphy in the future, because up until then, I'm not gonna have a shiny living dex. This boy here is never gonna do that hunt, let me tell you. But if you guys enjoyed this episode, or sorry, this video, be sure to destroy that like button right on this video. I appreciate you guys' support as always. Let me know your longest hunts or your hardest hunts that you managed to accomplish in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.